part, j'ai fait 9 clubs, j'ai fait 7 pays différents. J'ai signé 2 contrats le 31 août.
Je me rappelais mon premier banc contre le PSG avec Metz au parc. J'étais tellement content, tu vois, j'étais fou.
Alors, mon coach, avant l'échauffement, je dis coach, je suis grave pas bien. Il m'a dit, hey, c'est pas grave, tu restes sur le terrain, tu parleras moins, c'est tout. Tu sors un super match.
Ladies and gentlemen, bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Sébastien Bassong aka Baby Bass et je vous souhaite la bienvenue dans Ballon, Main, Corps, l'émission de la génération 86, accompagné de mes frères depuis plus de 20 ans, de mes acolytes, de mes partenaires in crime, Ricardo Facci aka Ricky Friandiz et de Quentin Westberg aka Q, l'américain. Ballon, Main, Corps, c'est une réunion de famille hebdomadaire, l'émission qui t'ouvre chaque semaine les portes des secrets liés à notre passion commune, notre vision du football, notre ADN, nos expériences sur et en dehors du rectangle vert. Alors si t'es intéressé à découvrir comment l'homme derrière le footballeur vit sa vie, quand le rideau s'ouvre et surtout quand il se ferme, les challenges qu'il rencontre, la manière de gérer le quotidien, les moments clés, les erreurs à ne pas faire, crois-moi, tu es au bon endroit. On a plein de choses à te raconter. J'espère que tu vas passer un super moment en notre compagnie. De toute manière, c'est parti. Ballon, main, corps. Let's go!
Le ballon, les mains, le corps. D'accord? Ballon, main et corps.
Do this.
Salut à tous et bienvenue dans un nouvel épisode de Ballon, Main, Corps, BMC, la réunion de famille hebdomadaire. That's it for today in French. Listen, guys, I had to start it in French because today's going to be a special day. I'm not going to, go around it. For those of you who don't understand English, it's time for you to learn. But like usual, Q, how you doing, brother? ATL.
I'm good, my man. Love that we're doing this in English, man. I've been long time waiting. Plus today, I will not spoil it, but we're on 4 different time zones, which is exceptional, makes it a little tricky for us to record. I'm not going to lie. Some, have to wake up earlier than others. Let's not lie about this also. But no, all good, man. We won yesterday against Chicago 3-0, which is a great start of the season for us at home. Plus, I have to tell you guys, I enjoyed so much watching the quarterfinals of the youth French Cup. Estac 3, my home club played Toulouse, who eventually booted Ricky's team out in the previous round. Fantastic game.
Booted?
Booted. Sorry, I'm using, British words. Booted. They booted you. But yeah, it was fantastic game, man. The game has changed so much for the youth teams, but a lot of talent, a lot of decent football. So yeah, it was a fun moment overall, and I'm happy. Bright and early with my guys in English. Hey, I don't want to be judging, but I heard we may have 2 Nigerians.
Yeah.
One for sure. The second one.
I was waiting for that one, Q. I was waiting for that one.
Hey, Ricky Friandiz, Rambouillet, how you doing, bro?
Okay.
Talk to me. Talk to us.
Now I understand why you asked Q first, huh? How you doing? No, normally it's supposed to be me the first one. Now you asked to Q, huh?
You start to know.
I know why.
How. So how you doing?
You want to feel comfortable. No, I'll be fine. I will try to speak my best Niger accent. So you have 2 Niger boys over here for today. So now I'm fine. As usual, business as usual. Football with my kids in Versailles. We drew last week. We drew 1-1, but it's still okay. TV show as usual in France, and very happy to share the next hour with a good guy, top mate, top player. So I'm enjoying. So I will try to follow up, guys, because I have three very good English speakers. So I will try to not to be at your level.
No, don't you worry. We're going to speak slow. And as Q said, he stole my line.
Yeah, you're going to speak slow, but Q will take advantage to speak his better English American accent. He's a bastard.
Yeah. There's Nigerian, there's British, and there's American. American, he want to speak like an American and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to convert him into Britain. Because, yeah, you get what I'm saying? But say less. For the reason why we speak in English is because our guest apparently doesn't speak a word of French apart from wesh wesh. He doesn't know much. He's
I know that he can speak some.
I can speak some,
yeah,
yes.
he can speak
I know
some.
that.
He can speak some, and we'll get to
But
speak.
he could even speak Greek.
Italian.
I don't know how we say it. Norway. How we say it.
Norwegian.
Norwegian. Snakke norsk. Snakke norsk, bra.
Snakke a bit norsk.
Bra norsk.
Oh my god!
Oh my God.
Because today it's not even a Cameroonian podcast or French one. It's a Niger podcast.
You want me to sing this for you?
Yes, please. God, not too long.
I'm waiting for you to stand there too. I'm waiting for you to stand there. Are we gonna really take it in, huh?
Enough. Our guest, our friend, our big younger brother, William Troost-Ekong. Will, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good. Yeah, no, thank you so much, guys, for having me here today. I think, I wouldn't have tried this in my French because unless it was something that was, I could say, which came out of like an MHD song or something, then it's difficult for me to recite it in French. But yeah, no, I can understand some French, but speaking is not there yet. But no, it's a real pleasure to be here. Of course, familiar faces. Q, this is the first time I meet you, but I've heard so much about you. I've been following what you've been doing. And I think it's really nice to see that you guys have got such a good brotherhood from your younger playing days. And to see Seb again after all those years, from cleaning his boots to meeting him again. And Ricky, my old teammate, is a real pleasure for me to be here. So thanks, guys, for having me.
Oh, that's
two guys, two experiences. One you clean the boots, and the other one is like your best friend. 100%. Of course, you got one tyrant and one best friend, one big brother, caring. Of course, everybody loves Ricky, and then you got it. We're done. We're done.
But listen. You know what? It sounds familiar. It looks familiar because it is. But at the end of the day, we got to give the respect. The reason why I've put your shirt, I never put a shirt on the podcast, is because at the end of the day, you are last AFCON finalist and player of the tournament. So you deserve another one. But enough of those things. We need to know. We need to talk. You know how we do. We know how we do things. It's just chit chat. There's nothing deep. It's just about chatting about you, about us, about football. But Will, for those of our maybe listener who don't know you, who are you?
Oof. I still feel like a young guy when I speak to you guys because I'm always looking up to you. I think I have a lot of respect for my older brothers, but I'm a 30-year-old, half Dutch, half Nigerian, father of three, living in Greece at the moment, playing football for PAOK in Thessaloniki. In the recent years, I've become the captain of the Nigerian Super Eagles. I share that duty also with our legendary Ahmed Musa, who is still part of the team and is the main captain. And I've been on a long football journey, which started on the streets in Holland, where I grew up, to starting with the first professional club at Tottenham Hotspur, and as an academy player, as a 15-year-old, where I met Bas. And after I played in Holland, I played in Norway, in Belgium. I played in Turkey together with Ricky at Bursaspor. Afterwards, I played in Italy. Then I came back to England, and a short spell again in Italy, and now I'm in Greece. So I've done a tour of Europe, which has been an amazing experience. During that time, I grew up a lot as well. Of course, having three young children myself now, married to my childhood sweetheart, which I met at school when I was in England. And just trying to learn and improve still. And still very ambitious football player, still trying to get the best out of myself. and I think that's probably my story.
It sounds very familiar, huh?
Yeah,
Very familiar, crazy, huh?
Yeah.
that's why I said that he's part of family, but he sounds and looks and is very familiar to some of our stories. But let's start from not even from the beginning. It's just you grew up and you born in Harlem,
Yeah.
not Harlem in America.
Harlem in America is named after the Harlem where I'm from. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
this is some small history. Yeah, and New York used to be New Amsterdam. So this is my claim to fame. So it sounds small, but it's not so small, right?
it's not that small, right? So you see, that's significant. But just where does your love from football come from? Where did it come from? Where did it start? Yeah,
Yeah, I think for my generations of being a early '90s baby, I was young. I always played outside. I lived in a neighborhood with a lot of kids, terrace housing. So our game or playing was always just ringing each other's doorbell to get these kids to play outside, and that slowly evolved into football. So I think maybe by 4 or 5 years old, I was playing football on the street all the time with my friends. In Holland we have it's fantastic. You have so many street cages where you can play. So almost every neighborhood has a street cage, which was probably where I spent most of my youth until the lights went off or the sun went down. So one of the two, or I could hear my mum scream telling me to come home to have my dinner. So that was my start and where I fell in love with football. Really, I played football in my school in the break time. And I think when I was 6 years old, I convinced my mum to sign me up to the local football team, which meant that she had to wake up early on a Saturday morning, which was not so nice for her because she worked Monday to Friday very hard. But I convinced her, and she took me. And I think that was really the start of my football journey. I really loved it so much. I always dreamt about being a professional. I didn't really have much experience in my family with sports. My dad always lived in Nigeria. At that time, my parents were still together, but he was always there working. So it was all down on my mum to take us to extra school activities. And I have 2 siblings also, so she wasn't always easy to take us everywhere. Thankfully, I had a good coach in my youth who helped me, used to take me to the games, pick me up from my home and take me back. So I think that was a key part of my journey because I think without having some figures around you that help you at the early stage, it's difficult to really explore talent and to try to improve yourself. And then that's how the dream kind of started. And I used to watch the Netherlands on TV. I used to watch Nigeria with my dad. I used to watch Arsenal with my dad because my dad was an Arsenal fan. I fell in love with football and I said, okay, I wanted to become a football player. And I didn't know how or where I was going to start, but that was just a dream.
Ooh, Dad was a Arsenal fan. Daddy, why are you doing that to us?
Yeah, it was
Hey,
Cano,
bro,
and Thierry Henry. So that was for him was
Can
can't
was the
blame
time.
him. Hey,
Yeah.
you're not officially stating it, Seb, but we will all like in front of Thierry Henry. Come on, man, we were all Arsenal
Of course,
fans.
yeah.
at
All
some
fan
point.
of Arsenal very,
Come on,
very
man.
young.
It's different. It's different.
Hey, bro, Will, take us back to those starting days, because it's like you described our childhood, basically. And we're so proud of how we grew up and what Clairefontaine brought to us, the technical part, the playing in the street part, the being comfortable on the ball. How much of that identity have you carried with you in your professional career? Like, to you, you're still the kid from Harlem playing when you step on the field. Like, what have you learned the most on the streets and from those starting ages, and also from Holland, man? Because let's not kid ourselves. From Clairefontaine, there was one example that we would put at the same level. It's Ajax. So there's that similar starting grounds. Tell us a little bit more about it and how much you carry it to your identity right now.
Yeah, I think for me, especially at the start, it was all of my identity. It was all about playing 1v1, taking on players, developing your skills, being strong. Because, on the street, it's like it can be rough sometimes. People are pushing you into the fence. You have to stand up. and there's no such thing as age or where you're from or how big you are. If you can play, you can play. Stay on the pitch. If you can't play, then you have to stand on the side and watch the big boys or the kids that have the quality. So I think you learn how to defend yourself, how to express yourself, and yeah, I think it's a big thing because you also grow your confidence. You become comfortable in group settings. You become streetwise. I think all those things are very important. Also, we had such a big diversity of kids. There was mainly Moroccan, Turkish, Suriname, from the Dutch and Antilles, the small islands in the Caribbean. So it was a real mix of kids on the street. So you had to learn also how to, communicate with different kids and find your way. So I think those are probably the biggest life lessons that I had from my young experience growing up playing football on the street. Then I think by the time I actually made it to the academy, so fast forward some years, I actually went to England to go to a boarding school because my dad wanted me to learn English and to have a better opportunity, because where I grew up just outside of Amsterdam, it wasn't rough, but the schools there, they weren't very ambitious, so he wanted something different for us. So I followed my sister to England when I was 12 to start in year 7, which is, I think it's the start of normally high school in most countries. My dream was to play football, but my father's dream was for me to finish my school and to go to university and do better than what he did. So when I then arrived in England, everything was new for me in the sense that it was quite strict. I had to wear a uniform, I had to clean my shoes, I had to things that was completely out of my normal life. And then the same thing happened when I started playing football for my local team and my school team. I got scouted by a few teams. I ended up going to Fulham and then after to Tottenham. And I think that was the first moment where I had to almost adjust my playing way, because I was a central defender, but I liked doing Cruyff turns and dribbling and step overs. And I remember the coaches used to say, they loved it because they loved the personality, the confidence. But then some of the older coaches used to come and watch and say, forget about all that stuff because that's not how we want you to play. So sometimes I think I kind of regret not keeping maybe that confidence and arrogance that you have with something you see with the Dutch players or the players from Ajax, where they completely play like they're free. So I think I have some bits of that, but I think because I had such a big part of my youth and the ages where you really form in England, it kind of changed, and I also became a little bit more no-nonsense defender. And so I think I have a bit of a mix. But I wish I had a little bit more flair left from when I was a kid.
But that's very, it's true. When I look back, when I think about you being back, way back, and as Q said, we grew up exactly the same. Whether you were a defender, whether you were a striker, we were taking people on. Technique was just the core of our every single day life. And the more you're growing up, especially when you come in England, I remember when you were a kid at Tottenham, I could see there was something in you that wanted to do stuff, but you were getting shaped. And that's funny because now, do you think that the fact that maybe you not changed, but you've adapted really well to what England wanted you to be, the way they thought that you should be playing, is what got you that good and long career? Because at the end of the day, they weren't wrong. So you've done the career. If you would have kept the flair or maybe the way you wanted to play before, that's the way you wanted to play. Maybe that's not the way you needed to play. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you said it right. I think there comes a stage where you have to realize what is expected from you, and then you have to accept. So I think I found that quite difficult, 16, 17, to then accept my new role of being a defender and really having to love to defend and do the ugly work, what people say. And I remember there was a few times when I used to still try to do my thing. I think my real reality check came when I played my first under-18 game as a 16-year-old. We played against Norwich, and after 10 minutes, I did a Cruyff turn on the edge of the box. They took the ball and they scored. And I think at halftime, the coach took me off, and I sat there almost embarrassed, wanting to cry. And of course, at that age, when you have all the boys, it's like a teenage environment. Some guys will be laughing, and you have to still hold your own and not show your weakness. But it was it was a reality check. You know, if I wanted to still be stubborn and do it my way, then I wasn't going to play. So yeah, it took some time for me to realize that. And yeah, afterwards, I'm thankful because I think it's really shaped me and it's given me a good basic and foundation to have a career. And I think, yeah, if you're young, you have to just understand what your role is going to be. Not everyone's going to be a winger or a striker or exciting player. But then the second part is you have to learn to love what you're doing and to understand, okay, I might not be the face of everything or the guy on the headlines or the new front of the newspaper, but I love what I'm doing and how I can affect the game and have a career. So I think that was like my 16 to 20 was that time, and I think you probably saw me in that time. And afterwards, you know, looking back at it, I think yeah, that was probably the most important lesson. And yeah, just learning how to defend and to have those basics right, which I think they're fantastic in England, how they explain it. I think probably only Italy, where they are a bit further, maybe at that age, really gave me a chance to have a career.
You know what? That's funny.
Beyond the
One sec. just quick one. I can relate so much because when I came out from Clairefontaine, I went to Met's academy. I was dribbling. I didn't want to defend. I literally didn't want to defend. I just wanted to knock-mate people. And I remember my coach sat me down and said, listen, you're going to have to love to defend. And I didn't love that. And I think that was a shift even for me and then because I joined UK really quick at 19, this is when I realized, okay, defending can be good. Otherwise, other than that, I wouldn't have done the career that I've made because I didn't want to defend. I wasn't enjoying it until I came. That's why I just want to back you up. Till I came to UK and they showed me that, you know what, defending can be sick. It can be even glamorous. And I was like, okay, that's what changed. Ricky, on to you. Ask your question.
No, it's fine. But beyond your technical abilities, Will, because we know that you was a really nice prospect when you was young because you played under 18, under 19 with the Dutch team, but you couldn't make it in Tottenham. What's the matter? Why? Because the step was too high. Because there's so many players ahead of you.
Yeah.
What happened to you in that moment?
Yeah, Seb was there, so the road was blocked. No, I think the time when I was there was also a particular time where England, I think, wasn't so favourable for young players. They in the first team they like to bring in the best talents from all over Europe. I think at the time we saw that already. We had players like Polo and Poku, which I think you knew came from Standard Liège at 16. I can't remember the name of the technical director. I think it was Damien Camoli or yeah. So and it was just the time where the transition was from the academies becoming elite in England, which they are now, to maybe buying players that are 19, 20, 21 who already had first team experience to progress into the first team. So having said that, I don't think I was at the level to be in the first team anyway. So I think this was one, and they didn't really have the patience for me. So I was training sometimes at the first team when they needed to make up a number. It wasn't because the coach really wanted me to be there, but it was more, okay, we have, after a game, some players are missing. We need some young players. And yeah, I don't think I was ready at the time. So I think there was a lot of potential. I think they expected me to develop quicker than I did. And I wasn't ready at the time, 18, 19, 20, to be in the first team.
You figured it out very quickly? Or you was
I think when I first arrived,
you said to yourself, I need to go quickly. I need to find a way.
No, I mean, because I was so proud of being there and achieving the status of being at a Premier League academy. I was holding on to that for dear life, and I still wanted to make it happen. I think it was only when I became a reserve team player. So we had Tim Sherwood at the time, who was the technical director for the academy and became the first team coach. And he took Nabil Bentaleb, Harry Kane, Alex Pritchard, some players that were part of my generation to the first team. And I was left behind, still training with the under 21s. That I realized, okay, this is my time. And I think we also had a conversation when I was in my last year of my contract about, okay, maybe can I go on loan? And that conversation very quickly changed to, okay, if you find a permanent move, we will also let you go. So I think for me, that was a clear indication, okay, this is what we want. But they were still okay. They gave me the platform to finish the year, to train with the under-21s, go to trial with different teams. Yeah, gave me a chance to go to another team, because I think once you have academy status from England and maybe under-19, under-20 with the Dutch national team, you have a good chance to find your level to play first team football. So I think it wasn't until the last year when I realized also, okay, the gap is too big. They don't really believe in me. I believe I can play here, but it's not going to happen. I need to go somewhere where they appreciate me now, and I can become a first team player now, because I knew straight away, if I want to have a career as a young player, I need experience. And if I am 21, 22, 23, and I still haven't played the first team game, it's going to be difficult for me to become an experienced defender, which everybody wants, right? So I think that was the realization.
You hit it on the head, man. You covered so many points that we love to cover, especially to our younger audience. It's like hanging on to a dream, sort of, you know, like you had Tottenham in you. You said that was the plan for 3-4 years. It's so hard to let go, right? But it's basically 2 steps back to take 3 forward, right? You needed that step, and we all, in some shape or form, were in that situation. I remember talking about the guys, how I didn't want to go on loan to 3rd division because I was scared I was going to lose my Nike deal. You know, it's like, but when you're young and you're in that environment, man, there's some stuff comes into consideration, and this is why we do this. We want to try and, you know, share and bluntly mistakes that we made. And also you brought it up, but academy environment is so challenging. We like to say it's the jungle, you know? So you, within 2-3 years, you had to let go of your first dream in some ways. And you were very much aware that, yeah, man, like soccer is not the dream, or football is not the dream life we all think it was going to be. It's so hyper competitive. You try and do a craft turn, you mess it up, you have your teammates giggling, you know, like, he came out, we'll see how you know. So the challenge is not only from the outside, it's from the inside. Tell us a little bit, was that the moment you pivoted? Because Seb is super open about it. Seb got kicked out of Clairefontaine in the 2nd year. He said, never again will I feel like this in my life. And from that moment on, that was his pivot. Was it yours when you had to leave Tottenham and like, oh man, I'm on my own now?
Yeah. You know, I think for me, it was because my journey was slightly different. 2 things. I think the first thing what you said about the academy, now when I talk about some pros who've been in different clubs, big clubs, we always talk about them young players being in a bubble. You know, you're so comfortable. You're the nicest training ground. We just moved to the new training ground, the Spurs, which is one of the best I've seen. You get to eat with the first team players. You drive your nice little car and park it next to the Lamborghinis of the first team, you know, and so you feel like you've arrived somewhere. And then within my school environment and my friendship group, I was that kid that played at Tottenham. It wasn't academy or first team. They didn't see the difference. So for me as a person and my self-worth, it was very important to try and hold on to it, like you said. And I think that moment when I left, because now it's easy for me to talk about, but I mean, there was many tears. I felt like I let everyone down. Also for my mum, who decided to let me leave school at 16 to become a full-time like scholar apprentice contract, which they give in England. I felt like I let her down as well, because she kind of went against what my dad wanted me to do, which is to continue at school. So she co-signed the contract for me to go to Spurs. To then not make it. Also the academy manager, John McDermott, which he did so much for me at the time to try to convince my dad to come and play, to convince my school. He used to give me pocket money before I even signed. They did everything for me to arrive to the club. To not make it was very painful. And I really felt like that was a moment for me that I wanted to prove to everyone, including now the people that believed in me first, that don't believe in me again now, that I can make it. So it really made me extra motivated. And I think that was, I don't know if it was a pivotal moment, but it was a key moment in my career, because I think that the pain that I felt then of having to let go of that dream really made me feel like I never want to be there again, of not being good enough. So let's work and get better, and also make sure that I tick all the boxes. You know, if they're talking about, okay, this is a player who doesn't talk coach enough on the pitch, I need to do that more. I need to be a player that has experience. How do I get that? I need to play first team football, whatever that level is. I can't be making unforced errors. I used to make mistakes sometimes because of my concentration. So all those things is a lot for a young man or young woman, I think, at any age to realize. But it was like my second chance, and maybe my only chance I was going to get, because I just came from being at an academy, which means that I would have some doors open to me for people to give me a chance, or to maybe look, or to have a trial, to not make that same mistake again. So I think everyone maybe has a setback. This was a very big one for me, probably for Seb at Cloud Fontaine when he left was similar, which probably motivates you to do more. So I think it was key. I don't think it was the most pivotal, but it was definitely a key moment in my career.
So which one was the most pivotal one?
I think the most pivotal one probably was to go and sign for Spurs at the time, because that was a very difficult situation for me personally, with my family, with my dad, because I took a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on my mum for her to back me at that time. I think with the marriage was already difficult, and I think for her to give me that chance and to believe in me, I think that was the biggest moment for me, because I had almost already said bye to the dream in general. We had the contract on the table, but I couldn't sign it as a 16-year-old. I needed a parent to sign it with me. So I think that was probably the most pivotal moment for me to become a player, because I think that first belief from her in me, always taking me to my football training, going out of her ways on the Saturday mornings, like we said, doing the extra things for us to have a chance, buying me my football boots when it was difficult. I think those are probably the key moment. And this was like the second part, which is relatable to the first one, because I felt like I let her down, but I think that was probably the key moment for me to really go all the way.
It's even your first, let's say, the grown-up man decision.
Yeah.
Because we talk about a lot about even the responsibilities of the football players, that we must take some responsibilities at a young age. So I imagine it could be like kind of heavy, in a way.
Yeah, it felt heavy, and then I think sometimes also you feel alone, because some of the young players that are maybe in a similar situation, you're all fighting and competing to be in the first team in the same way. So however much they're your teammates and they're your friends, when it's such a competitive environment, it's sometimes difficult to share that. So you don't want to maybe speak to your teammates and seen as vulnerable. But yeah, there was many times that I was in my digs or my host families where I used to live, and I'll cry and I'll be upset about the whole situation. But yeah, I think you have to go through that yourself, and like you said, it makes you grow up very quickly and take responsibility for your actions very quickly. And yeah, I think now in the end it's worked out well. But I also know for many young players that I played with, which it wasn't always what they dreamt of, and it can be very difficult afterwards to find a new identity if you see yourself as a football player as 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, to then going into the real world and then having to follow those consequences and the choices you made to maybe find a different job or a different way of life. So I think it's very difficult for young boys and girls to make that decision so early, and also face the consequences that are good but also can be bad.
In football, most of the time, we have qualities. We have qualities. What would be yours? How would you describe yourself? What is your main quality? And you spoke about, according to what you just said, as Q said, you said a lot. You said a lot that rings a lot of bells to us. But for the people that are listening, from last week we spoke about pain. Remember my first question, quality, but we spoke about pain, your ability to sustain and maybe in a way to love pain in order to make it to the highest level.
Cope with the pain.
What?
To cope with the pain, no?
To cope and to deal to even almost like it or dislike it. But do you think that you're an addict of pain? Because when you look at your journey, it hasn't been easy at all. You talk about you shared blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of tears, and we all did. What do you think about this concept about pain?
Yeah.
We get there, dude. We get there.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that gives me the biggest thrill. I think pushing through barriers. So whether it's proving to myself that I can do more than what I think. So the battle you have in your own mind, proving to other people that you can do something which is impossible. And yeah, also finding that dark place, because I know that's where the magic happens. So I know that whenever I'm uncomfortable or when I'm in a situation where I don't feel good physically or mentally, to keep pushing, because then afterwards the results in my life so far has always been better or something more than I could have imagined, right? So I think yeah, it's not something you choose when you're young. I think if I look back at it, it was traumatic, some of the periods. But at the same time, it gave me so much power, because every time I overcame a situation where I was released by a club and I wasn't good enough to come back, yeah, throughout my career, different people, they doubted me or they weren't sure about my ability. When you then achieve something, the power you get from that, I think, yeah, makes you unstoppable, right? So I think if I were to talk about quality, I think at a young age during that time, 17, 18, 19, 20, I realized, okay, I have some physical abilities which are probably better than most players. I'm okay at the basic stuff. I can pass the ball. I'm comfortable. But if the ball is like 50-50 between me and someone else, it's going to be my ball. That was like my quality, you know? Yeah.
King-Ekong.
And yeah, not backing down. I think when you become like, I think being fearless and willing to do everything to be successful, I think that's probably the part of me that has helped me so far, and I think that comes down to mindset, which I think is so important in everything you do, right?
Q, I know you got something.
No, I got too much, man, because yeah, I don't want to get back to it's almost the part. So you spoke about discomfort, and where we preach, we say, if you're too comfortable, then something bad is coming. So you said the opposite, and you come and sort of validate what we think is like good things come from a high level of discomfort. And last week we separated discomfort and then there was pain. You know, discomfort is normal on the day to day. For us, it's normal. The competing, the noise from the outside, the responsibilities. But yeah, man, how uncomfortable was it then leave Tottenham, go back to Netherlands, Norway, all these stops along the way, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, these guys have played with you for a while and everything, but I first started following you when you were in Haugesund, because I played for Sarpsborg 6 months, and you basically signed in Haugesund when I left Norway, but I started following the league, and you guys played Sarpsborg, and then a year later I see you with Ricky at Bursa. So tell us about these first stops along the way once you had realized I'm in the effing jungle.
Yeah, I think so. Coming back to Holland was the easy part, because I came back to a country which I knew. I had some level of respect because I was under 19, under 20 international. I went to trial at Groningen, which was a team which was like a mid-table team. They just sold Van Dijk to Celtic, and they let one other central defender go as well. And I came there as an understudy to a Brazilian player called Eric Botteguin, who went on to play. I think he's playing in Italy now. So I went there on a 6-week, or I think it was a 4-week pre-season trial, and I arrived there and I knew that I was strong, I was fit, I did all my work. I worked hard in the months leading up to it, because I knew I was going to get released, but I wanted to arrive somewhere top fit. And I remember the first 2 weeks of the preseason was so much without the ball. I think we did a running test. I made sure I came in first. We had a sprint test. I think I surprised some people there as well. I remember we had a jumping test. I think I jumped the highest. So I wanted to just make sure, okay, all these things that I can do, let me show them, you know, what I'm about. And afterwards they were saying, yeah, we need to wait and see. We have the budget to sign a player, and you know, all the business side of football. But I just had to make sure that I was there and their forefront of their mind all the time. So Eventually signed there, convinced them, got a 2-year contract, made my first team debut. Now I was 20, and I got subbed at half time. I will never forget this as well. We had, I think the other team got a red card, and we decided to play 3 at the back. And me as a young player, they wanted to leave the experienced guys in, go more attacking. And yeah, again, it was like, I've worked so hard for this moment again. It's finally here. I remember it was a 9 o'clock kickoff. I couldn't sleep the day before. The whole day I couldn't. I was sitting at home waiting for the game to happen. Finally, my moment was there. I was playing. Everything was going okay. And now, because of chance, I'm out again. And yeah, I was really upset about that, because sometimes you don't feel like you have the reward straight away for what you're going through. Fast forward, I think I played one more time as a sub, came in. I was always involved with the first team. So this was already a step up, because I'd gone from under 21 academy to now being a first team player. When the first team manager needs me, I'm there. Ran out of patience, got to January and said, okay, I came back to Holland to play first team football. Let me go on loan. They sent me on loan to a team in the second division, which was at the top of the second division. And I had been playing against them, because if you didn't play on the Saturday, then on the Monday you play with the under 21 team. And we played against this team. And I remember, absolutely killing the guys there. And they remembered me from that reserve team game, which was a cold night. No one's there. There's a few coaches standing there, a few fans that are crazy enough to come and watch those games. And yeah, they took me on loan. So then we ended up getting promoted. And then I was now stayed again with them for another season. And that was my real breakthrough season as a first team player. So I played all the games. We got relegated that year. We played 3 at the back, high pressure, 1v1 most of the game. So I was always standing against the guys, and it was sink or swim, because if the guy spins you or you slip over, then he's in front of the goalkeeper. So I played in the middle of the 3, and I learned so much. So some games was fantastic for 80 minutes, but then, of course, there's 1 or 2 moments the striker gets the best of you.
Who were those strikers at the time in Eredivisie?
I played against Sebastian Haller. He played for Utrecht at the time. I played against Colin Kazim Richards. Played for Feyenoord. Played, who else were at the time? Ajax. I can't remember who they had. But anyway, it was all good players, many young players, because that's just how it is in the Dutch league in general. And yeah, that was a key moment for me. And then at the end of that season, it was, okay, do I go back down with this team to the second division? Or do I try something new? I thought, okay, I've shown myself already on that division. And then the opportunity came to sign for Ghent in Belgium. I think they saw a lot of potential. They just won the league. But they were playing Champions League, and I knew if I go there, I'm not going to play. So I'm going to be one of many again. So I said, okay, I'll sign there, but I want to go on loan. They agreed. And that's how I ended up in Haugesund in Norway. So I went to Haugesund to meet the manager. It was Mark Dempsey, who was a youth team manager at Manchester United, knew me from the time there. And my first question was to him, listen, coach, I want to visit the team first. What is it looking like for me to play? And he said, I love you. I've been watching you play. I've shown me all the clips. I remember sitting in his office. And he said, if you come here, I'm going to give you a chance. And then it's up to you. And then I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I think that was an unorthodox decision, because going to Norway isn't the normal thing to do. If you're a young player, you obviously dream about being in bigger leagues. But my whole vision and idea was, I want to play first team football. It doesn't matter where it is. And I want to play in the top division in Europe. So I knew if I'm 20, 21 and I'm playing somewhere, people can watch me. And if I'm doing well, then there'll be a new chance to go somewhere else. So that's how that decision went. Went to Haugesund, really enjoyed it. Played the whole season. They made me captain as a 21-year-old, which was quite a big deal at the time. And went to the Olympics for Nigeria, under 23s. We got the 3rd place medal there, against all odds as well, because we went with mainly Nigerian players, and Brazil had...
in Rio, huh?
Yes, in Rio. And Brazil had the fantastic team of Neymar, Marquinhos, you name it, everyone's there. We lost in the semi-final against Germany. They had almost all the players under 21 were also playing in the Bundesliga. And we had boys that were still playing in Nigeria, with John Mikel, myself, and one other player that were playing in a professional league. Imo Ezekiel, I don't know if you remember him from Belgium.
Imo,
Standard Liège, yeah. And so we defied the odds, and that kind of gave me a chance. So I went back to Belgium. I got called up for the first team for Nigeria because the new coach, Gernot Rohr, watched the Olympics and he was impressed. So he called me and 2 or 3 other players. And then I arrived in Belgium and I was a first team player of Nigeria. So it was a different kind of situation than just coming from a team that got relegated in Netherlands. And then I got my chance to play there. So that's kind of how it went. Yeah.
Hold on. Because you said fast forward, there's an element. Because for me, we're all binational. We could have. I've played for France the same way you've played for Holland.
Yeah.
Ricky's played for France. Q has never played for France, but he's been in the mix to play for France and then play for the US. Okay, what happened? What made you switch to the Super Eagles? Because for me, as you said, you played the Olympics, but you had to make another choice, and we've spoken about it. What was the real, true motivation for you to switch from Netherlands to Nigeria? Because we all know now you got more than almost 80 caps. You're the captain, Super Eagle captain. So that was a pivotal decision for you in your career. Okay, what was the motivation? What happened?
Yeah. So my father always lived in Nigeria. My mother lived in Holland. We lived with my mum. My mum worked for KLM Airlines, now together with Air France. So I spent almost all my youth in Nigeria. So whenever we had holidays when my parents were still together, Christmas, summer holiday, there's 8 weeks, I was in Nigeria. So that was our time to visit my dad. Easter, this time I'll be in Nigeria. So Nigeria already was something that I was very familiar with. I watched the Super Eagles. I never thought that I would be considered to be in the Super Eagles. And my focus at the time was just the Netherlands because that's where I grew up. That's where I played my first games. And then when I was 21, so I was playing in the second division team in Holland that got promoted, Dordrecht, in the Eredivisie now, in the first league. I was getting a lot of exposure and people were asking me, would you be interested in playing for Nigeria? And I always said, yes, I'll be more than open to it. And I remember my last game of the season when we already got relegated, we beat Ajax at home. And Stephen Keshi, who was the first team coach for Nigeria, called me. So this is actually before I went to Norway. And he said, listen, son, I've watched you and I like the way you play. Would you be open to play for Nigeria? So I was already blown away, in a relegation season for a coach to call me up. They said, we're thinking about getting some younger players involved. I would like to bring you there. So I said, yes, of course. I didn't have the time to think. I said, of course, I'll be there. I'll be more than honored. And then a few weeks later, I got my invitation for Nigeria. So I think I didn't really have time to think. I wanted to play first team football again. And the choice between Nigeria and Netherlands for me wasn't that hard because I see them in a similar way. They just believed in me. And whereas with the Dutch team, I was still under 20. They hadn't spoken about under 21s yet or going to the first team. So for first team manager to call me up, who was a legend at the time, Stephen Keshi, and say that he wants me there, it was an easy decision. So I think that kind of forced my hand. But looking back at it now, I think it was the best decision I made in my career.
Okay.
Yeah, it surely is because, listen, you're captain. At the end of the day, you've been captain since a young age because you said early on, you name your qualities. Would resilience would be your main quality as a man and as a bowler? Because from what I've seen and for what you just explained us and for people listening or watching us, I think for me, you're the definition of resilience. You've been up, left, right, front, left, up, left, right, and center. You've been, but when we say it might be cliche, but when you say giving up is not an option, you are the definition of that. And today, how do you see yourself now being from the kid that's been let go, Tottenham, and you haven't been kept there for all those tribulation to lead Nigeria to the AFCON final? How do you see that man, that evolution honestly, I know you're a humble person, but how does that make you feel? Because at the end of the day, I was there. I was proud. Because people were asking me, why are you so emotional? I said, no, you don't even know the man who is leading the team, who he is. How do you see this man?
And yeah, just let me bounce on that, because if I recall properly, you told us you were let go from Tottenham because you were not a leader enough. That's one of the things they blamed you for, that you weren't, I can't remember, you weren't teaching enough on the field, or there was,
I wasn't
there was a
coaching,
word
I wasn't vocal
you
enough.
weren't coaching enough. Exactly. How do you go from this to actually leading, leading in that way? Because not so down the road, you're a captain in Haugesund, you're a captain for the Nigerian national team, and you were a captain along the way. That's just a rebound on Bass's question.
It's a very good question. I think the experience that we just had now in the AFCON really humbled me. I think there's been different moments where I felt, of course, proud. Sometimes it feels a bit much. You don't really know what to feel, because sometimes it's bigger than like I said, your dreams, what you could imagine happening. But I think they're the most special moments, because when I had the chance to lead Nigeria in different games, I think my first one was in 2017 against Poland, the friendly game. It really gave me power, because I felt like I came into my role. This was something that was destined to be, and I felt like I was ready for it. And how do you get there to that point? I think it's experience. I think I've always been someone that looks at players around me. I look at how other players doing it. So I've had some fantastic captains when I was young. I think I've had fantastic role models from different stages of my career. When I was really young, even the first team interaction that I had with you, or with Kabul, or with Ledley King, Michael Dawson, they gave me the time to speak to them, and I tried to just learn what they are doing, how are they doing, what they are doing here at the club or on the pitch, to John Obi Mikel, to Vincent Nyama, different people that I just picked up little things from that I loved, and say, okay, wow, that's how they got the team going, or how can I do that, or how are they leading the team? Because everyone has their own way. I think in a team, or especially in football, it can be more evident that there's so many different leaders and everyone does it in their own way, and you just have to find a way that suits you and also is true to who you are. Because there's been moments when I was young, as soon as I got the chance to maybe dictate something, I would feel like I need to be screaming to people, I need to be telling people they're doing this wrong or that wrong. And then you realize, okay, that's not the way to communicate with everyone. Some people like it that way, some people don't. Then you learn, some people you don't need to say anything to. Some people, they're just looking to what you are behaving. You might be saying all of these things, but if you're not doing it yourself, they're not going to accept it from you. So there's different things that you learn along the way. And then you have to find a way, okay, what is the closest to my own personality and how I really am, and being myself. So I think I'm quite a vocal person. I think I've been lucky. I've had a good education. I can express myself well. But then also, I think I'm someone who's willing to push harder than everyone. And I think when I see my teammates, people respect that. And I think you have to understand, okay, what can I bring to this team? And who can I bring with me? Because you can't do anything alone, even if you're standing there with 10 other players or 25, if you count everyone. How can I influence some people to get a domino effect, to get everyone going together, right? So that's the thing that I learned, and I think it's been experience. And I felt like now, as of late, when I'm 30 years old, I can understand why normally the people that are the best leaders, the best captains, are the ones that have the most experience, because they've probably gone through that progress themselves. But you need to have that comfortability and the trueness, I think, with yourself, that you have that in you, and not every player might feel that feeling to lead a team or to take the responsibility. But I always felt that the more responsibility I had, and the more that people believed in me to give them the answer or to make the right decision, the better I perform. So I think it's like a mixture of so many things that came together. And now, I feel like it's become my role and who I really am.
Hold on.
Preach, bro. Listen, man, the accountability,
Hold on. What's that? What was that?
The kick starts at Nigeria, heads go up. Troost-Ekong! Troost-Ekong for the first goal for Nigeria. He rolls highest and nodded that into the net. And Nigeria gains the round of play. Have managed to put their noses in front. That's a proper goal. Troost-Ekong and his third goal. And what a way to get this game up and running. The blue touch paper is well and truly lit. And the Super Eagles have their goal.
Honestly, I'm emotional.
I was commenting.
We get another version in France. Huh? In France, we get another version.
Yeah.
We don't get the BBC version. Huh?
Yeah, no. They don't in French they got another version, but yo, what happened? You turn yourself into a goal scoring machine. Penalties.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. I know I've caught Q because Q was gonna ask a question, but I don't know. I got carried away and I needed to play that part because you were talking about Nigeria and I was there. And yeah, as I said at the end of the clip, I was getting emotional because I was thinking like, is he gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? And on top of that, that kid that used to clean my boots, be so there, so listening, so respectful, and is he gonna leave the trophy? So how was it? I mean, and you got player of the tournament, but was he sour? Was he hard to swallow? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you still remember your question after Q, so I can come back to that.
Q got a big head. It's gonna be
Me,
massive head. A massive head with a lot of information. We call him
I'm going to punch you and then you're going to need to catch me with your hips. Huh? Now you're not that fast anymore, bro.
He's got a massive head, so we call him El Professor. So don't worry for that. He's got a hell of a memory.
I trust him to tell that. So now if I go back to that moment, I think again, I think it felt surreal. I think the moment felt bigger than me. I think not just for me, but for the whole team. When I speak to it now to my family about Sebastian Haller scoring the final goal. I think seeing him on the pitch afterwards, I saw his wife, I saw his kids. I don't know him personally. I never spoken to him really until that moment because on the pitch I'm never friends with anyone. So, and I remember seeing him in the mix zone after the game, and I felt I had to go and speak to him, and I just congratulated him about that moment because, you know, it felt bigger than all of us. And however much I wanted to win, and however much I wanted this for us to really complete the story, we didn't play better than Ivory Coast in the final. I think if you look at the whole performance, Ivory Coast played better than us. And then you can say, okay, well, they came back from the dead twice and everything. That's all part of their story. But I think for Sebastian Haller to score after seeing what he overcame with the cancer and being back and not playing the start of the tournament to then coming in the end and scoring that important moment. I'm not sure if he'll be able to put it in with his toe like that again if the ball came, but some moments just happen. And I felt that it was bigger than me, and it felt surreal. So I was upset, of course. I was sad. I wish to lift the trophy. You walk past it when you go out to the pitch. You walk past it when you get your medal. So to get so close and not be able to lift it is heartbreaking. But I also felt humbled, and I felt like, you know, we all pray to the same God, and it can't just be my story. It can't just be our team story. And I felt like, you know, at that moment, Ivory Coast deserved it, which is painful to say, but they deserved it. And I think, it will be a moment that I always wish I could change now and go back. And I thought about, what could we have done different? But there's not so much that I think I would, because I think, you know, I tried to give everything I got. I spoke about in the halftime what I thought we should do different. But you can't control everything in football, right? So, that's just a situation I have to live with now, and has made me even more hungry to actually go and win the trophy. Like if I say now, my hands are sweating when I talk about it. So, it's one of those things that was a very special moment and sad but beautiful, if that makes sense.
It does.
And how much closer? Because, bro, I really love what you had to say on leadership. You know how from the get-go, when you're a little younger, when you want to exist, you feel like you speak to speak when really it's not really called for, and you're probably playing out of character or whatever. when you become the authentic leader, you know what I'm saying? And then that you go through emotions like this, how much closer are you to your Nigerians teammates? Like, I'm sure I got goosebumps thinking about good moments and thinking about what you lived. You know what I'm saying? Because sharing these special moments, how much closer are you after the tournament being one of the team captains, as you said, because you gave his credit to Musa, and this I love also. You know, it's your team. How much? Tell us how it feels. You know, and have you guys been back together, and what's left of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a shame now because after the tournament, I had the surgery for my hamstring, so I wasn't there with this international break because I felt this was an important one for us after the tournament to see how everyone get back together again, what the general mindset was. Also, now the coach left, we have a new coach. How can you build on what we've just done and not just let it be, okay, it's been a 2-year build up and now we're starting all fresh again? Because I felt there was so much there that we could keep, but had to improve to really become like a team, you know, to be reckoned with, like a force to be reckoned with. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being with the team in June so I can see how that is. We have World Cup qualifiers then, which is the same magnitude as playing AFCON qualifiers, AFCON group stage for me, because, you know, the World Cup is where you want to be. Now we had friendly games, so it's also a different kind of dynamic. But yeah, I think the closeness after a tournament, after sharing all those moments, being together for 6 weeks, how intense it is. I think Seb came to the camp as well to see the team is like, you know, we did everything together, which is normal, but we were, you know, after dinner, the guys stayed, we prayed together, we prayed before the games. People open up to each other. Everyone had different moments through the tournaments. You know, we had players that maybe didn't perform how they wanted to perform. Other players who performed better, like myself, than I even expected I could, and on this stage. So everyone was like, it's like a whole like environment of different emotions, and I think the trick for me there was to try and see that and trying to manage it and try and get everyone still to do the same thing. You know, we had a coach who we knew was going to leave at the end of the tournament. So how much can you build on that? All the players are thinking, okay, this is our moment. We have to live with it also after the tournament. We have to make our own decisions. You have a player, for example, like Victor Osimhen, which is one of the best players in the world, best player in Africa. He's 24, feels like he's carrying the whole of Nigeria on his shoulders. He didn't score in the first couple of games. You can see the frustration with that, but at the same time, everyone is looking to him. So there's so many different dynamics, which is difficult to then try and, you know, keep together. And it's really, for me, the key thing was like learning when less is more, when you have to say something, when you try to balance the energy in the team, because I always try and think about it like, you know, we have to try and stay on this line to perform. And after a win, everyone is here. You can see the celebrations in the hotel, to players maybe the next day not going to bed on time, to not eating what they're supposed to be eating. And then if we lost the game, everyone was, you see the divides in the team. Some players start speaking to this player, to that player, we should do this different, and then still trying to galvanize everyone. So like there was some key moments. I think after the first game in the group stage, we drew against Equatorial Guinea, which they had the top scorer. I think they were probably overperforming. We had 6 or 7, 8 great chances, and they had 1, and they scored. We equalized directly after, thankfully. But we didn't deserve to win the game because they also defended well. But I think if you looked at it more from a global perspective, from a bird's eye view, we had the better chances, and the Nigerian media was directly on us. Okay, the team is not up to scratch. What are we going to do about it? So the next day we had a meeting on the pitch, and I just said to the guys, you know, feel free, everyone, to speak. Tell me what you think we should be doing more. You know, we had the conversation. I said, don't make it too general. If you see something about someone you don't like, tell them. You know, we're a family here. It's just us, no coaches, no media, no one. If you see something about me you don't like, tell me, because this is the moment. Let's not wait until the tournament is over to say, okay, we should have done this different or that different. And I think we had a real heart-to-heart, and everyone had a chance to speak. Not everyone liked it, but I think, you know, afterwards we realized, okay, we're honest with each other now, and I think we needed that to perform, right? And then afterwards you saw the game against Ivory Coast. We played well, defensive system, we changed a little bit. We won 1-0. Ivory Coast maybe didn't perform as well as they did, but it gave us such a boost that we didn't have to talk about those things again. But now the whole thing was, okay, how can we not get carried away and think we're going to win the tournament in the second group stage game? And then, speaking to everyone to calm down. This is what we need to do. This is what's going to happen next. This is the knockout phase is going to happen. Last AFCON, we went out in the round of 16 when everyone thought we were favourites. So I think you share those moments and share those experiences. I think in the team now we had different leaders, and because you have players that have won the AFCON before, Kenneth Moreau, Ahmed Moussa, players like myself who've been there now 3 AFCONs, some players that were new, and yeah, it's good to try and keep that together, but also say, okay, we were more ready this time, and everyone had an input. It wasn't just me talking or Moussa talking, or the coach talking or Kenneth talking. So I think that was the real power. Our coach did something beautiful as well, where he made sure every day one of the players had a quote, which we had up in breakfast, to say, something motivational, could be something personal. So it was a chance for everyone to speak. They had to then, at dinner time, once they've been up all day, explain what they wanted to say. And it was a good way, I think, for everyone to feel like they were involved and also have their say. Maybe some players that don't necessarily speak up, they had to. So I think that togetherness was already created by so many different aspects. It was my role, I felt, and it was just more about managing the mental space of everyone and getting everyone to really understand that together we could do something special, So I think that was my way of trying to lead through the tournament.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's the inside from the Super Eagles. But yeah, I came, and when I came, I felt the spirit. I was next door. You were having dinners, and when you were having dinners, and you guys started to sing, I felt like in church. I was like, "Yo, the ground, the ground was gonna just open up." That the spirit was so pure, it was so authentic,
and let me just add something to that, because in a team we have half the team is Muslim, half the team is Christian, right? But in those moments, everyone's together, and the same before the game, we pray before the start of the half, end of the half. We have a Christian prayer, we have a Muslim prayer. And it's like a moment where everyone connects. And I think the beauty about religion and so tied into football in general is that it's a moment where people are pure, they're vulnerable, right? And you share and you feel like togetherness. So I think that's, like you said, you probably sat next door, but everyone was in there. It wasn't just the Christian players or this or that. Everyone was together. And it became less about different types of religions, but more just everyone being in sync and being open and, sharing that,
And that's exactly, for somebody that doesn't know that, I kind of knew because I know the Nigerian is, next to Cameroon. I know how it is. I know the vibe, but yeah, it was true. And I think that's what made the difference, because you can't go wrong when everything is authentic, when everything comes from the heart. And whether it's as a player, because Q love to say that you can't cheat your way up. You can't cheat your way through. You at some point you're gonna get caught. And I think what summarizes and what sums you up from a young age to now, to leading Nigeria to the AFCON final, is being real and authentic. I don't know. Ricky played with you at Bursa, so how?
Yeah, tell me about my guys as teammates, man. I need to know. What kind of bully Seb was when he was like 20, 21, like living the life. I know Ricky. Ricky, best teammate for sure. But let everyone know why we say everybody loves Ricky.
Guys, that I did my job as usual,
Yeah, that Ricky was Ricky at the time for me was fantastic. I'll let him speak after, but just to tell you what I think of Ricky at the time. To come into a new country again, new experience. He was there for me from the start. I think I was still 23, hopeful of going to the World Cup. I wanted to play. We had a French coach, Paul Le Guen, and Ricky had been there for a year. Had seen how, or maybe 2 years, had seen how everything was in Bursaspor. He helped me a lot. He has his lovely wife, his kids. He was in a different phase of his life. He's a bit older than me, but he just made me feel comfortable there. Also helped me understand the different pressures of Turkish football, the fans, which was new for me because it was so big. gave me the time of the day, took me out for dinner when I was alone. Yeah, I remember he always used to say to me before the game, performance. He always used to say that word to me, and I think that was one of the things of like, just thinking of my situation, what I wanted to achieve, wanted to go to the World Cup, wanted to go to a bigger club. I also spoke to him about, I dream about playing in England again one day. It's just focus on my own performance and what I could do, and not get carried away in the emotions of Turkish football at the time. So, I think it was something special, and that's what I have to say about Ricky.
Oh, yeah, it's normal. You know the guy. You know the animal, guys. But as usual, I did my job. I did my job as a brother, because I'm the kind of guy who good teammate. You remember, really, even my situation was not so nice.
Yeah.
That time I wasn't playing. I was in trouble with the team, with the organization over there. But I knew the atmosphere. Maybe sometimes the how we say it, like the organization in Turkey could be very like frustrating at some point. Sometimes you kind to give up, to leave it, to not to let it go, to just enjoy, to just like have a rest, let's say. But like I said to you, you was young at the time. You was like many challenges. Honestly, you have to say the truth that you didn't belong there. Okay, it was a really good league. Like we play a good matchup, like good duel. I remember you playing against Dembaba, Samuel
Yeah.
Eto'o. It was a nice fight. It was
Adebayor.
me.
Yeah, it was
I
nice.
very enjoying watching that from the bench. So it was very very enjoyable. And but yes, as I told you to other young players, to just to think about your performance, even if sometimes you don't get paid, or sometimes you have some trouble over there, like
Yeah.
around the football. But at the time, the pitch is the most important. So this is what you did. This is what you did. You did very well after you went to Serie A. I was very happy, because me, I'm a big fan of Serie A.
Yeah.
And then you finally made your dream, and I was very proud. Like Sebastian said, when he saw you in the AFCON, saying involved in the Premier League, I was very proud, because I know that it was your first dream in the first place. So it's nice.
It was great. It was great to see you back in North London at Watford, because it's still North London. For me, it's still North London. And how was it? Because a couple of years back, you were fighting. You were at Spurs, willing to, as Ricky said, to get to the Premier League, to go and feel the grass. Couldn't make it. Then a couple of years later, here you are with Watford in the Prem. Did you feel like a real achievement to you?
Yeah, and I think even more so because the time I left Udinese in Serie A to sign for Watford in the Championship, they just got relegated. The president convinced me to come, because we had a very strong team, and for us to win or be second in the Championship to get promoted really made me feel like I deserved to have my chance now. I did all the hard work away in England, and now I felt like I was back. So it was a again like a full circle moment. My year in the Premier League didn't turn out the way I wanted it to do. We got relegated at the end of the season. I went to the AFCON in January, which Watford wasn't happy about after I didn't play. So I played maybe 5 months Premier League football. And I'll never forget the opening day. We played at home against Aston Villa. We won, and had all my family was there. My son, who was then my oldest, who was then 2 or 3, for him to be there. There were so many aspects that, it just felt like overwhelming. It was a 3 o'clock kickoff, perfect pitch. The sun was half shining in the stadium. It was like how you imagine a Premier League game to be on a Saturday afternoon. To then win was something special. And a few games later, I also had a chance to captain the Premier League, which was also amazing. So amazing moments. And we played against Spurs. We lost both games 1-0, home and away. But I think playing away at White Hart Lane, where they scored quite a lucky free kick from Son. It was a cross that went all the way in. I have to add that. But they won. It was a nice experience, because I saw so many old faces, from the kit man who was still there, Jukesy, to some of the first team staff who were still there. Yeah, Harry Kane, who was my youth teammate, who I met once before playing with Nigeria against England, but then to be against him on the pitch there, and he didn't score was like, for me, were different things that were nice from that occasion. I still feel like I've got unfinished business there, but we'll see. Maybe in the future I have a chance to play again. But it was very nice to get back there.
Okay, so I bounce back. I bounce back. Sorry about that. What's next? What next? Play new countries, 9 clubs, and
Yeah.
now you arrive to your 30s. So what's next?
What's next? You know, I made quite a conscious decision last year when I came to PAOK. I wanted to play for a team that could win things. I'd never won anything in my life. I've been promoted twice. I never won a championship. Often played for smaller teams in big leagues, and now I'm playing for a big team in a smaller league. With all due respect. So yeah, I think this was a great opportunity for me to come here. Again, I've only managed to play 6-7 months of football before the AFCON. Then I had my injury now. And if everything is going well, I might be back for the Europa Conference final or the semi-final when we get there. So that's my target for this season still. And afterwards, we have to see. I think the AFCON, of course, changed so much. Sometimes puts you into a different dimension, which you didn't think about at the time. Because I'm very happy here. Also, my shift has changed slightly. I've got 3 young kids. I've got a wife who follows me around. It sometimes becomes a little bit less about what I want to achieve right now, right here, going around, traveling everywhere to play, to what's best for me and my family. And yeah, they are happy here. So I think my future will still be here. And I feel like I can still do a lot more here. But yeah, who knows? If there's a better opportunity comes and PAOK is happy and I'm happy, then we can speak about it. But for now, I'm happy here in PAOK.
That's great. That's great because as we go along, as we're growing up, perspective changes, and we can't speak enough about it in this podcast. From our start of our journey to now, things have changed, things have evolved, and rightly so. They have to, because you're becoming a dad, 3 kids, a husband, a better man. So things have to change, and I think
you're setting new priorities.
Yeah. New priorities. You see things in different way, from a different angle, different perspective. If I gotta sum you up, for me, because I've known you since you were really young and I see you now, every milestone, every stop, every club that you've made, every situation you've been through, for me, it was just adding to, I wouldn't say the AFCON final, for me, is a catalyst point. Because of what? Because for me, it's everything you've put in that final sums you all up, because everything you've learned along the way, you had to just showcase it in one game. And as you said, it was bigger than you. So in order for you to have that kind of wisdom to say, you know what, as much as I wanted to win, as we wanted to win, I think there was something bigger. The way you explained us, your open-mindedness, you're open-minded. You just, for me, everything you've learned, all those, setback, that resilience that you show, that makes you the captain that you are and the man that you are. Because people sometimes they think, oh, you know what? Oh, he's just captain because he goes along, he likes people, and he's good. No. He's a leader. He's a good player for a reason, for many, many reasons. And I think sometimes people downplay what you've been through, and you said it really well. The experience. Experience is not only what you won, or it's just what you've been through and the way you've dealt with it. Because for me, that makes you the man that you are. And Q is the el professor, and he can say it more than that, more than me. Because, but
it's really, hey, listen, man. What I love about your story is how conscious you are about the steps along the way, and how you made everything about purpose and about learning. You know how you grow into someone that's not coaching enough on the field to being the captain, the guy that, brings people together, that understands that you can be a little harsh on one guy, and then you need to be totally understandable with the other. And we preach all the time about adaptability, and this is the leadership we want for the game that we love, because in the end we all started in the streets, like we like to say, and this is why we always start with how it started for you, you know what I'm saying, and that common ground and that common past that we have with you, and seeing how through your experiences and your setbacks, man. I mean, what I like about your story is how proud you are about your setbacks, because it's almost, we started this podcast and it's almost like nothing was going wrong and nothing was going well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we tend to forget in a way that how well it's going now and how you were able to flip the coin. So credits to you, but you said it all, man. It's the mindset, man, and don't change. Great things are ahead. And thanks a lot for being our guest. It was fantastic, bro.
A setback.
Thank you so much, guys.
Is a setback. Is a step for a comeback. That's why somebody say a step back is a step for a comeback.
Yeah.
So that sums you all up. Ricky, now my both Niger boy. What do you want to say?
No, nothing. As you can imagine, I don't speak a lot. This podcast I just listen, but I hung on every word you said, guys. Honestly, I really enjoyed what we said during the past hour, and thanks you again, Will, for your time, your disponibility, and I think it could be a nice example for all the young fellas who listen to us, and it could be you're a good example that a career, it could be the up and downs, but at the end we take what we get at the end.
Yeah. No.
You can
Thank you so much, guys.
You can say it,
I
you
think
take
it's,
what's yours. You can say it, you take what's yours.
What's yours. At the end of the day, you take what's yours.
Yes. Wait, what can we hope for you? All right. If you got one thing that we could hope for you, that we could wish for you, what would it be?
Better things ahead. I think I've been through so much. I've achieved some amazing things. Like I said, that I dreamt of. I would have snatched your arm off if you gave you a chance to do any of these things. But I feel like this isn't the end of my story. So I feel very motivated, even more than before. And that starts now from my comeback from my surgery. First time I had a major surgery like this. I want to show people that there's more to give, and I feel even more hungry being so close to the final dream of lifting a trophy for my nation. That I want to go back and do that, but I know that's the end result, and the process to get there means that I have to get back on my feet here. I have to play well for my club. We have to qualify for many things. I have to stay in the picture. I'm also competing with my fellow Nigerian players to wear the shirt, to be on the pitch. So I know there's a lot of process that's going to be between now and another chance to hopefully get there again. If there was a wish from you guys, just to wish the best for me for the process, because that's what I'm focused on now.
Hey, just, for me to conclude, our CEO in a podcast recently here in MLS in Atlanta said, we use data a lot, we use stats and everything, but also we like to dig in a little bit. We like to see players that speak multiple languages, players that have captained a lot of teams. Sounds like me, like you have a market for you in MLS, man, sooner or later,
That's why I asked him what's next.
Yes,
I was looking for MLS or Saudi, some Arab money or some MLS move,
Yeah, we never know. This isn't the end of the story. Let me put it that way. So, I want to just thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real pleasure to share this. I think it's even more special when it was people that I know for such a long time who know the story. I don't think the podcast would have been long enough in 5 hours if I went into detail of everything, but I think we covered so many important things. And I think, for any young listeners, I would have loved to listen to something like this when I was younger, and just to understand that, everyone has their own journey. Don't let anyone put a limit on what you can do. And keep pushing, keep believing. That's my main thing.
Amen to that. Preacher, Oga. Oga is a preacher. Yo, what's happening, Ricky, this weekend? What's happening in your life this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend, as usual, we have an important game for the French people who knows, for the Parisian who knows, we play against Mantes-la-Jolie. So the first against the second, we are first now. So we play against the second this weekend with my under 18 teams. And yes, some TV with Amazon, with Prime Video. So this weekend is League 2, French League 2. So in studio. So yeah, as usual, guys, business as usual.
All right, ATL, what's happening?
ATL, busy week, spring break. So a lot of kids at home, like you, Will. I have 4, so I'm gonna be busy, and my wife is gonna be busy this week also. So, but it's good to have them home, training game in New York City this weekend. So just the blessings of the career and the path and everything, you know. And thanks again, Will. It was fantastic getting to know you and hearing your insights on everything, man.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And what about you, Seb? What have you got this weekend?
Oh, what do I have this weekend? We got Prem. What's BB? I think we got BBC and a couple of other stuff around the Prem. And still, I'm getting my event ready. I'm working on my craft. I'm working on some of the client. One of my player scored an own goal this weekend, so I got to work on his mind a lot because he's really down. But other than that, just usual. It's holidays. I'm gonna spend time with the kids, and then I might go away for a bit. So let's see. We're gonna try to not try. We're gonna do all that all together at the same time, and we keep pushing. We keep pushing. We keep thriving. Because I really do think that you're an example. And as you said, just do not let other people limitation just come back on you. Just set your own thing. It's not because somebody cannot do something that you can't do it. So just set your own mind up and keep looking ahead and do your things. But you know what, Will? I see where you at. I can understand why you like Greece, because Thessaloniki is sick. The weather
It's amazing.
is amazing. Ah, Geeky, you know, Greece, the weather. When I played in Greece for my last 6 months of my career, people didn't understand why I was so happy. I was opening the curtain. It was just sunny.
Yes, I'll open this again for you afterwards. Yeah.
It was just sunny from all day. It was just crazy. After 15 years in the UK, when you see it, the fog is just cloudy now. So it's understandable, but trust me, now you've been injured, you're coming back, you gotta be careful. I gotta say quickly a big shout out to Issa, to Louis, because they're our team, background team. They're working hard, and for all our people, all our listeners, you're gonna have to make a little effort. Read the subtitle for those of you who don't understand English. But for now, because subtitles
for me, it's gonna be okay. With my French accent, it's gonna be okay.
But it's
I wasn't a Niger boy. I was a French guy, so it's okay. But it's not okay.
Yeah, because usually Ricky, when he starts speaking English, he sounds like a real Niger, and he has an accent, so it's fine.
He's one of mine. I love it.
JT Okocha, hey, we win the game today.
So yeah, but at the end of the day, you've been injured. You know the process. You got to be careful. You got to be strong, because if you're not careful, when we were at Clairefontaine, we had a guy. The guy, which is today, let me give you a bit of context, is the goalkeeper coach, for the French national team. He used to be how do you say that? Comment dit surveillant?
I don't know.
Or caretaker, I don't know, yeah.
He was watching us at night, and he was looking after us when we were at Clairefontaine. The watcher.
Okay.
The night watch. Yeah. The night watch. He used to be, and now he's, and he's a strong personality. We got a deep voice, and every time we were doing something wrong, we were doing a mistake, we were like, he was honest, and we named our podcast off him.
Okay.
Because he's a goalkeeper. He used to be Q goalkeeping coach, right? Yeah. And he used to tell him ballon, the hands, and the body. So that was the formula, and that's why we named the podcast after him. But when he used to watch us at night when we were doing mistakes, when we were sneaking out, and even when we were injured and we're coming back too quick. So be careful. He would have told you, listen, Will, listen. In French, c'est basket, parka, allez hop, vous tournez. Means in English, trainers, court, and then you go around the building and you just go around. That was Ballon, Main, Corps. Thank you very much. With loads of love to you. On vous aime beaucoup. Ballon, Main, Corps, la réunion de famille hebdomadaire. On est ensemble. À la semaine prochaine. See you next week. Loads of love. Q.
One love.
Thank you, guys.
Bon, comme toutes les bonnes choses ont une fin, la réunion de famille hebdomadaire, elle est terminée. Mais t'inquiète pas, on va pas loin. Si tu veux nous retrouver, c'est simple comme un contrôle-passe. Tu t'abonnes ici, tu t'abonnes ici, sur les réseaux sociaux, tu nous suis. Et si tu ne le fais pas, c'est à toi que M. Rabeux va dire basket, parka, allez hop, tu tournes. À la semaine prochaine, ballon, main, corps. Ha! Let's go!